Welcome to From Poundland to Paradise, your guide to all things Walsall FC. I'm Craig, he's Joe. Let's talk April 2025.
Wow, playoffs.
So we're not going to take up too much of your time today. Let's just rail through it. You know what I mean? That's kind of just life.
Oh God, the way you started that, then that's like music to any Bradford, Port Vale, or Doncaster fans' ears, you know. And there was one in the comments. Big up you.
Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, there was you did an angry post at you on the Twitter feed.
As long as we keep everyone happy, you know.
Yeah,
it's fine,
we're here for everyone, really.
That's it, man.
You think about it, it's like a whole EFL podcast, really, not just a Walsall one.
In a way,
it's for everyone. So yeah, we're just gonna run through, how the month of April was pretty good.
Oh God!
But before we do, so it happened. We're in the playoffs. The unthinkable happened. We went from chasing points records to finishing fourth. But we're going to try and stay positive.
Finishing fourth on the last day. But right now we're covering April, so we will get to that.
We'll get to all the permutations and we'll get to everything that that has happened, is going to happen, the big picture. But we'll just run through the results here real quick. So we knew it was going to be a big month. And after March, in which we picked up 4 points from 18, we had that 3-game run, the sort of make or break run, where we played Wimbledon at the end of March and then Donny and Vale at the start of April. So we drew with Wimbledon at the end of March. Then we drew 2-2 with Doncaster away on the 1st of April. That was the first game of the month, the second of that 3-game run of crunch games. And it was another DJ last-minute life-saving goal.
Yeah, mad. I mean, it was nail-biting times, and to be fair, considering our form, we did well in those 2 games.
Yeah.
But as we've said before, and as a lot of fans are saying, that DJ at the end of a game to kind of just whip it in when we really need it paid off again. But as we saw later, it didn't get used for some mad reason. So
yeah,
that's my complaint with that going ahead. But yeah, I mean...
towards the end of the month, there was some, photos at the zoo.
Yeah, Twycross. Like, what the hell?
Some other stuff
why is he
going
not on the bench? Even if you're not going to use him, like, why would... What? There's just so much at this club that just goes totally unanswered and doesn't make sense. But, we just have to move with it.
Well, yeah, we'll come on to that. The communication as well, the silence. I mean, it's crazy, but from the club side. But then, yes, 2 draws from the first 2 of them big crunch games. You're thinking, obviously, it's not ideal, but at the end of the day, they're not picking up points, we're not picking up points, so, not too bad.
To take 2 points off of each was kind of not too bad, but that just shows how bad it's got that we're saying that, you know what I mean? We went from thinking we could get the record amount of points gained in League 2 history to scrapping for 4th. I mean, scrapping for 3rd and then,
eventually succumbing to 4th. But like you said, though, given the form, we would have been happy with them. Not so happy on April the 5th when we played Vale at home and lost 3-2. Now, that was a crazy first half.
It was a mad game, though,
It was all 5 goals were in the first half.
Yeah,
it was mental.
And we had one disallowed, which was definitely a goal. So basically, we had six goals in the first half.
Should have had a penalty.
Insane.
But then again, Simpkins saved us multiple times. It was just a crazy game. It could have been like 5-5.
Yeah, but to be honest, it was a good game. I can't even lie.
But then in the end, we lose 3-2. Yeah. Again, we don't get the result. And so you end up with 2 points from an available 9 from those 3 crunch
I think about
games.
It. If we would have been able to... I keep going on to what's going on now, where we should be focusing on April. But if we got that point against Port Vale, we would have been 3rd because we had a better goal difference than Bradford.
Yeah. So that's how serious it was. But at least it weren't like a 90th minute goal they scored. They scored in the first half, so it's one of them, we won't have to think about what if, like we will with McKenty with the handball in the dying moments,
Jesus
which
Christ.
would have
been well over the line in 3rd with that.
But we'll come on to that.
If he would have just put his face to it.
Put your bloody face on it.
Jesus Christ.
April 12th, we went away to Barrow and lost 2-0. That's an utter disgrace.
Oh yeah, that's insane. Yeah,
I just don't know how else to say that.
I feel like they just were like, fuck this, basically. After getting beat by Port Vale at home. I don't know.
I mean, for me, that was the height of the
shocking.
Sadler out campaign there, because for me there, you've still got a decent amount of games left.
You've got everything to play for, yeah.
Because ironically enough, I saw that on on Twitter and in the ground, with the Sadler out and all that, that only really, it grew too late. Someone else said that to me as well, that only really started ramping up sort of 1 or 2 games left of the season. Whereas, I mean, I've been calling for it for a couple of months now, but at this particular moment after losing to Barrow, I was like, I don't care what anyone says about it being too close. It's not too close. There's still time. That was the time to pull the trigger for me, because that was, honestly, it is a disgrace to lose 2-0 against a Barrow team with basically nothing to play for.
They had nothing to play for. I think they were safe, weren't they, at that point?
Or at the very least, they were, it would have took a miracle.
Yeah. It's just ridiculous, yeah. How can we not beat a team? And we'll get on to the next one as well, because it gets worse. But yeah, so 2-0 to Barrow. Absolutely insane. Just don't know what to say about that one.
So then on April 18th, we had another game where the rage was really boiling in the ground, because we drew 2-2 with Harrogate, who I think they would have had something to play for, but obviously they are
only just about, they're awful. They're only just about something to play for.
Yeah, they were basically up.
I think it was at half time they were safe or something, wasn't it? Something like that. I can't remember.
Yeah.
Because of who else was playing at the time. I can't remember, but either way.
Like with Barrow, they were either safe or it would have been, a miracle for them to go down, basically.
It looked like they were playing the best game that them players have ever played in their lives.
That's the thing.
They were putting everything into it, and I just don't get it, man. They just hate us, innit? I reckon the league and the refs, to be honest, they hate us. They definitely hate us. They don't want to give us anything.
Well, our friend Ben was saying that, and he made a good point, to be fair, that like sometimes you think about all that on the beach stuff, and then you it depends on the team, because sometimes it gives them that freedom and they actually play better than you'd think they would if they had something to play for. Well, I mean, look at us. We've had something to play for ages and we're terrible.
Yeah. So and we were so good with obviously.
Yeah, if anything, the pressure, this group has shown that they can't handle pressure, which, as we'll come on to, does not bode well for the playoffs. But despite what Sadler says about the group being fighters and all that, I mean, there's been pressure now for a couple of months and we've seen the evidence that, largely due to him, to be fair to the players, it's mostly Sadler's problem, but he's the one sort of setting them up to fail. But they haven't exactly shown that they're good at dealing with pressure. So, I mean, Harrogate, I suppose it's the same. When they're under pressure, they're terrible, and then as soon as they feel good. And they should have won this game if it weren't for Liam Gordon with a late goal. We were we had to accept a late goal to scramble a 2-2 home draw against Harrogate.
Crazy.
And I think that's where the rage from me was really settling in, but again, not enough, because after the Vale game, I got pelters from the Wish Liam Gallagher, who was by us, who was there for a day out, and he didn't like the fact, get behind him. Yeah. That ain't gonna help with it. And then after this Harrogate game when we equalised, I didn't celebrate because it's not worthy of a celebration. It was a disgrace that we're even in this situation. If they went on and got a third, then they would have got my celebration. But they didn't. So again, I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, Sadler needs to go, just must be sent to jail. And then I've got some Karen this time going, what are you on about? Brilliant, I love what we're doing. And I'm like, Jesus Christ. We'll come on to that as well. The fan base is divided, I think, between the realistic and the just, I don't know, like the kind of, when you watch football with your mum and they're like, it's all right, you know what I mean?
Yeah, they're too optimistic.
I don't know what it is. They're either optimistic or they just don't really care that much.
Yeah, so it makes them easier to just accept the loss. And
it's only bloody 11 people kicking the ball around, and I do care quite a lot, so I was quite enraged. But anyway, against Accrington, that's when it starts to all come together for the rage machine, basically. But that's when we all started raging against the machine. But after this Harrogate game, we go away to Newport on April 21st. Again, I think mathematically, literally 0 to play for them.
Oh, yeah.
They went down
less
to
than nothing.
10 men.
Less than nothing. And they went down to 10 men.
And we still come away with a 0-0 draw.
You gotta laugh, haven't you? You just cry. We just sit here crying down the mic.
0-0 draw, baby.
It's insane that we had to, we couldn't beat a 10-man team. And then, right in the dying moments, we get a goal where he could have just put any other part of his body to it, but he chose his hand, basically. What the fuck?
That's pretty good, though, I think.
That is mad. I mean, I don't care. I kind of don't care if if it was a handball and we got over the line with it, that would have definitely secured us third place. I don't give a shit, but at the same time,
absolutely,
because they did notice it for some reason. Again, the refs hate us, so they'll find any excuse to try and penalise us. And there we go.
Yeah, I mean, there's some conspiracy theories out there.
Madness.
There's some like images of like it looked like Sky had already taken off the 1 and changed it to a 0 before the refs had even spoken to each other. Some weird stuff like that.
So they were just like, no, we like radioing through. Nah, they can't. It can't
I
be
don't
that
know
deep.
about all that. But what I will say is, like you said, look, if he gets away with it. He'd build a statue, and he's the Maradona, and it's amazing. It'd be the best meme ever. The bands would be amazing. We could do that forever. We could live off that for years.
But because he didn't,
class.
But
because it don't, you are a daft prick. I mean, good God. Could Matt have got his head to it? And then if he don't, could you get your head to it and you use your hand inexplicably?
Shoulder, arm, chest. Well, not arm, but, shoulder... chest. Like Matt's got so many goals in with his chest and his fucking hip and random, stuff like that.
As the replay showed, McKenzie really could have just headed it in.
He really could have.
I mean, in the end, like he said, he hands it in. They overturned it. I mean, when it went in, the scenes were unreal.
Yeah,
it was
beautiful, man.
Maybe the best moment in the last 5 years of
that was amazing.
Following the club. But then it all gets taken away.
Heartbreak.
And it's not even VAR. It's like a disallowed goal in the moment or whatever. Because he goes to talk to the liner. I mean, you're thinking there. Yeah. Again, fair enough. It was a handball. But Newport have got nothing to play for. But I suppose it's...
And they're protesting.
The other teams do, I suppose. And part of me wants to say, why don't the lino just not call the ref over and just let it go? Who cares? What difference does it make to Newport?
Yeah,
but at the same time, if you're Bradford, then you'd be fuming.
Oh, of course.
So it does matter to someone.
The same way around with us with Bradford. You know what I mean? If their goal was, offside and it got allowed, we'd be fuming. So
they do.
It's all fair. And if it's going to be fair, it's got to be fair for everyone and you've got to be happy with that. But,
So ultimately, it ends up being the second.
Just more drama. At least you can't say it's not. You can't say it's boring.
Yeah, that's
we
true.
might have totally fucked it, but at least
if we end up going
boring.
up, it will have been an exciting promotion in the end.
Yeah, full of drama.
So, it ends up being the second game of the 6 where we failed to score, bringing us to Accrington at home on the 26th, which ends up being the third. So 3 out of these 6 games we failed to score. This one is where it really gets to boiling point, right? Connor Barrett gets sent off late, about the 78th minute, I think. But we lose 1-0. Again, didn't really look like scoring at any point. Simkin actually kept us in the game again with multiple saves where they should have been 2 or 3-0 up.
Oh, God.
And then at the end, there is no one complaining when I'm shouting at the top of my lungs from the very bottom, through the stewards, like, Sadler, fuck off, get out of the club, because he's doing his clapping parade and that. I don't think this was the one where he shook his head. I think it was Harrogate was the one where he shook his head and I was like, I can't believe you have the cheek.
You got to bow your head if anything.
If anything, bow your head.
If you're going to stay in the job, if you think it's that, I don't know.
But they all got this time instead of the dumb claps, so that they were still getting as late as Harrogate. By this point, it's the penultimate game of the season. They're getting booed roundly. Sadler out chanced.
Oh God, the Sadler out chant was the loudest
over them
part of the game, wasn't it?
At the end, and I thought that was good, but it's too little, too late. I think in terms of the reaction. But that's that. And then we go into then we're going to touch on this more in the May podcast, but just to quickly go over it. Last game of the season was Saturday the 3rd of May. We win 1-0 away at Crewe, second half goal from George Hall. And going into like the very, very dying seconds of our game.
I thought we played the best we've played.
Yeah, played very well.
Let's scroll. I've got the fixtures up here, so I'm going to scroll and tell you what day it was, people, because Jesus Christ.
Because there's been some games that we haven't won where we've still played all right. Yeah. But it's been a long time.
But that was a really good... I thought that was a great performance, like, all-round type thing. I can't think, man. I think we're going to get onto it.
There's the Chesterfield win on the 3rd on the 15th of February, but
I don't even think we played that good in that game. I think they just played shit, to be honest.
Probably... That Bromley game on the 13th of March when we drew 2-2, I thought we played all right.
We played well. Again, the ref. It's just I can't be asked to keep going on about the ref because it's just
Yeah,
but honestly,
I'm sure
every single ref I've seen in front of me, at Bescott has been dire. Either detrimental or absolutely just incompetent.
Either incompetent and abysmal for both teams, or just actively, against us.
Actively against us, yeah, it's insane.
But anyway, we go to this final game of the season against Crewe. So it's the first game.
At least we played well.
Of May. There will end up being at least 3, maybe 4 games in May to cover. We'll see what happens. But anyway, this Crewe game, it all rides on that. Goes to the end. We're thinking we've won.
Yeah.
I mean, I've never been so.
Yeah, it was absolutely
not for a few years.
That was the palpitations
and it was pretty dire, devastating.
Keep refreshing the Bradford game as well on Sky Sports, on your phone, and I was just
to be honest, I weren't bothering because I was watching. I was watching it. I was in America at the time.
You just got back.
I've been in America for the last 2 weeks, so I was watching. I watched the Crewe game there. Can't remember would Accrington. No, Accrington was at home, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So I got to see that. I went to that, and then I went away the next day. So, and then luckily I'm back now for the playoffs. But I had to watch the Crewe game there. It was 10 in the morning. And luckily I was watching the feed, and they were the commentators were saying, you know what I mean, that it's still goalless at Bradford or whatever. So I was all right, kind of keeping in the loop on that. And then they were the ones who broke the news to me, and they were saying the fans are talking to the players on the pitch, and the mood has changed here and all this stuff. And I was like, oh my God.
It was crazy. We were we've finally done it. We got third, you know what I mean? We've actually pushed on.
I really thought we had got it.
Yeah.
And it was 96 minutes of our game or something that all that news started filtering through. And then after the game, you saw Stirk and that. And I think Lakin and that going over and talking to the fans. And I kept thinking maybe they'll hear, maybe there'll be an equaliser. But I mean, it was just daft.
It was too late, yeah.
That was never going to happen.
Oh, man. It was crazy.
So, before we come on to the sort of bigger picture, taking the Crewe game aside, for April, it was 6 games, 3 away, 3 at home, 0 wins, 3 draws and 3 losses for 6 goals scored and 10 conceded. So a goal a game scored, almost 2 goals a game conceded, and 3 points from 18. For the stats fans out there, when you add that to the 4 points from 18 from March, that's 7 points from an available 36 for the last 2 months of the season. Before the Crewe one. The Crewe one makes it 10 from an available 39.
Yeah, 10 from 39 is still shocking. That's 0.5 a game. I think.
It's rough, isn't it? I mean, it really is relegation form.
Fully.
If we'd have done our usual trick of being about 13th, 14th by March, we would be relegated.
We would be relegated 100% if we didn't.
So
have
we got
Lowe,
that.
Basically.
Bless him. If Nathan Lowe hadn't come along and given us that sort of anti-relegation elixir for the first few months, we would be gone.
He just did everything. That was the thing about him. He's kind of in the middle. Obviously, he's up front, but he's in the middle as well.
Dropping deep.
Thinking about it now, he's just incredible player, and we fit the system around him, or not the system around him, but he fit so well that it was this system is literally unbreakable at the start in a way, and then it's just he goes, and then the whole thing just implodes basically.
Well, before we come on to Lowe more in the talking points, let's just do the man of the month. Last month it was Taylor Allen won the first award.
Yeah.
For our second award, you talk there about Nathan Lowe, such a good attacking player. We don't really have so many of them anymore, which is why our man of the month is Swifty. Has not put a foot wrong, shaking the kids' hands, walking around the ground.
Exactly.
Getting everyone G'd up for it. I mean, he looks amazing in his outfit. He's just...
the form's just unbelievable from him,
I feel like, if anything, he's stepped up, you might say.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
In these
he's played every game as well. He's every game.
Is he ever missing, honestly?
I don't think I've seen him miss a game.
But then again, that's in keeping with Matt Sadler's way of life, isn't it? They never miss a game.
That's it. Yeah. You find one player that you like, and then you play him until his legs fall off.
He'll be like 80 years old, the guy inside, and he'll never be able to stop.
Yeah.
But in all seriousness, it's got to be Tommy Simkin.
Yeah.
Which again tells its own story, doesn't it, really? I mean, we conceded 10 goals in the 6 games, which ain't particularly, it ain't exactly Burnley defensive form, but that goes to show how terrible we are. That he has still been, I think, pretty amazing.
He's been amazing.
While conceding those goals, there have been multiple games where there's been 2 or 3, guaranteed goals that he's kept out.
Yeah, that he's just made incredible saves. And then the other goals, in my opinion, were just wonder goals that I don't think any keeper is saving except for Prem level. And then
plenty of wonder goals in there.
The other ways we conceded was more just slip-ups in defence and...
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then he's one-on-one or something, and then what are you going to do?
So big up Simo. He did well. And that's about... There's not going to be much more positive to talk through, but...
and that's it.
But on to the talking points. There will be some positives. I mean, in a way, Lowe was a positive during the time he was there.
It was a big positive.
But as you said, with him being gone, I think it's really exposed... sort of Sadler for the coach. I don't think obviously it's exposed the squad a bit as well. The squad ain't as good as we thought it was at the time, but it's not as
but
bad.
Squad's a squad as well, if you know what I mean.
As 10 in 39, it's
all
better than 10 in 39.
Yeah, definitely. Like if we never had Lowe at all, we'd be we ended up fourth, we'd be like, this is fucking sick, and we'd probably have a bumpy road where we were just like, in the top half, but
exactly
battling and stuff like that, and then it wouldn't be this bad. And it's all relative as well. It's just so annoying how I feel like a dickhead getting so angry about it, because really, it is all relative. You've kind of got to just roll with it most of the time.
Yeah, but I think it's like you said, it's
it's what we've seen. It's what we've seen. 15 points at the top, clear at the top is what we remember. You know what I mean?
How lopsided the season was. I think after last season we came close for the playoffs. For Sadler, I would have been expecting that this season. For me, no playoffs equals no job.
Yeah, I think at the start of the season, we need to listen to it back. We maybe should have done that. But at the start of the season or before, with the pre-season podcast, like where we were kind of predicting we'd finish, I swear it was when
we do the end
playoffs
of season,
would be amazing. The playoffs would be dope.
We'll look back on last season
get the playoffs.
We'll compare.
And we did, so we kind of achieved.
But, like you said, you finished even 6th or 7th, I would have been happy with it if it would have been a normal season of some wins, some losses. But the point is, again, it don't matter what anyone says about that, like, look at it, you're 4th, how can you complain? You can't be top, 15 points clear of 2nd, and end up being where we are now and say that is a success.
Yeah, definitely.
Because you can't have one half of a season has to you do have to look at it all big picture and that. But at the same time,
it's all about where you
got to look at. You do have to look at it all, and that includes this run of like historically bad form. How can you pretend that ain't a part of the city? It's a big part of it. Like
massive. Definitely.
So
it's hard. It's so polarizing. Like you say, the split in the club, the fans. You know what I mean? Is kind of testament to that, you know what I mean?
The fans are very divided on, I would say, 3 topics. One is Sadler, obviously. There are still some holdouts, half of them who still support him, and then the other half who are getting, more and more and more enraged and growing. And then you've got the players, where, a lot of times if you're on social media, you just don't know if you're watching the same game as other people, you know what I mean? I'm seeing stuff like, Jellis don't look like he's bothered. I'm like, I don't know I literally don't know what I'm watching.
Most of the time, he's the only one.
You can say whatever you want about him. I'm not saying he's Pele, but you're saying he's not bothered. I mean, he looks like one of the only ones who is exhausted from running the entire game.
He puts his all in. He might put... I think the nerves are have gotten into him, which is why he puts... passes wrong and puts touches wrong, but at the end of the day he's putting everything into it, and the confidence is just a bit low. But you see, I hear people say, fucking Jealous, you know what I mean? It's just like, fuck off, Jealous. I'm like, what are you watching, man? This is mad. Like,
again, it's just the different takes is what I mean. It's fair enough to think he's shit or whatever, or that he's, I'm just saying, when people say he hasn't tried, I don't know what they're watching. Then at the same time, you'll have people who, think so other players have done, like Jamil Matt's very divisive. Some people are saying, he's amazing. He's done, but I think overall he's had a great season.
Yeah.
But again, last few months, like the whole team, it's really dropped off. He does need to stop falling over as much. And yes, he is right that he doesn't really get anything, and we do agree on that. But at the same time,
if you know you're not going to get anything, then
there you go.
Just stand up, man. Just stand up. But obviously, I've seen as well. I've seen when Matt's trying to stand up. I swear it was in the Accrington game, to be fair. Remember when he was getting literally held back like a baby with their reins on, like he was like full pelt, like his arms were extended out in front of him, and he was and you could just see a massive shirt behind him and the player just pulling him, and he's looking at the ref like, hello, like, look at this, have a look at this. I haven't gone down because, you know what I mean, I've tried that.
I'm trying your way now.
Yeah, look, and he's just like, whatever.
So I'm not really there for the Matt hatred.
No, he's done well. He's done really well.
But basically, there's a lot of division. The third element of division is the club itself, like the off the pitch stuff.
Yeah, the board.
Again, there's some who are very happy with everything that Trevella have done. There's some who just hate them, and then there's some who are in the middle. I'm probably in the middle.
Same.
I like obviously what they did with the ground, what they've done with the locker.
I mean, it's all gone up. If you think about it, it has all gone up. Even though we've had a mad season since Trevella have came in, everything has gone in the kind of positive angle. Even though there's still things that could be improved,
but
and
there are
probably
some
will
that
be
don't
improved.
think so, and I think there's some things about it where the communication is one thing that's making the club itself coming for a lot of flack that I definitely agree with is the communication. So there's, for example, this big, I don't know if you've seen this big Twitter spat that's blown up because certain Twitter users who are very, popular on there and have a sort of big reach have been getting tickets for the Chesterfield game, no problem, and then sort of bragging about it on there, while other people have had zero chance of getting them despite being season ticket holders, including us, for example. And I haven't really partook in that, but because again, I was traveling back from America, having like a 48-hour mad odyssey to get back home. But I've seen bits and pieces to do with that. Obviously, the club aren't really adored for that. There's been some really bad PR. I mean, Ben Sadler is obviously, he's slagged every week for his we'll come out of the January window stronger than we went in, which has proven to be like one of the maddest quotes in history, really. I bet if he could delete that, he would. He must regret it.
It's up there with we're exactly where we want.
I was going to say that's the next one, obviously. Sadler's obviously the king of that. The club can't be held responsible too much for his PR because he is just unreal, really, like shaking his head when fans boo him, rightly, saying we're right where we want to be. Even though we are almost certainly just
I can see how he's
nowhere near where we want to be.
They're just trying to spin it, and I get that, but you can't. That's just it feels like you're taking the piss. That's all.
It does.
Yeah,
it does.
we get you trying to spin it positive, but
like
are you taking the piss? Like,
So there's that. There's the problem as well that the way they do their. Some of the social media stuff, the whole... I understand that they want to put out a tweet when the game's ended, and they want to put their little tagline like, I don't know, like defeat in Yorkshire or whatever.
Yeah.
It's played out. People despise it. People use it to meme the club. Us and the away fans do.
Jesus.
And... then there's no communication.
That's why I don't go on Twitter.
I don't blame you, to be honest, but you'll have every week it's been growing and growing, the campaign to get Sadler out, and if you don't want to get him out, you need to be clear and put out some kind of statement saying you support him, whatever. Nothing like that ever happens. Radio silence. Ben Sadler's getting constantly tagged, club getting constantly tagged, neither of them respond.
Man.
In the beginning, he used to be quite chippy, like back in like February and the start of March when people would say, Sadler, you still think... Ben, do you still think we've come out the window stronger than we went in? He would clap back. Those days are definitely over now. He just goes into the ground in his hole and hides. Because he knows that obviously the quote is mental.
Yeah, it is mental. Yeah.
To say when you've lost a championship level striker and you've replaced him with either just old players
people that can't make the bench for Bromley,
loanees that don't play till the last game of the season, you can't really say it's been... better than when we went in. So, a lot of division on that front. I think the club has a lot to answer for communication-wise. But overall then, looking at the on-the-pitch stuff, to what extent do you think it's Sadler or the players that are responsible for this? We'll be positive again in a bit. We need to end positively. But let's stick with the realism for now.
Well, I feel like, from the start, and I've touched on today, but from what we've always said, what's it called? Unraveling of our season came with the loss of Lowe. So, whose fault was it that he didn't stay? No one's. So okay, that's that covered. But whose fault was it that we built a whole system around a lonely striker? It might be Sadler's. It might be more the director of football. It might be people around him. I don't know, but I don't think it falls on the players, to be honest. I mean, when they're performing badly and we think they're not putting in effort, I think 90% of the time it's just because they're knackered or they're being told to play in a certain way, which is not fucking working, obviously. So I think it's down to Sadler. If I've got to choose out the players and Sadler, definitely Sadler, or the director of football or the board for not getting a good enough option in January. You know what I mean? Stuff like that. I think it is down. It's not really down to the players, I don't think, as a whole. It might be sometimes, but I think, yeah, it all stems back to Sadler and the people around him, the staff and the board, ultimately, technically.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to tell always if the players are putting in 100% or if they should take some of the flack, but ultimately, I think we've seen that in a lot of cases, they're just tired, and I think that has to be blamed on Sadler because he's chosen to have some of the highest stats in the league for players playing every single minute, no rotation, even though we've got a brilliant squad.
Yeah.
He's started to make a few changes, but too little too late.
Yeah, but I mean...
From like Newport onwards, he started to try a couple things.
But obviously from Newport, we could have won that. Maybe we should have won that. Accrington, that was awful, obviously, and I don't think we played well at all. But then Crewe, and the way he changed it for Crewe, I don't know, who he's been speaking to, but that was kind of genius, if I'm honest.
Yeah,
that was sick. We played amazing, and we put the game away. So, like, if we can continue that, then I'll be well happy. But so I guess you'd put it on Sadler as well, and not as opposed to the players.
I've been the king of the
overall, in it.
For ages now. I mean, obviously, there's bigger haters than me. I mean, if this was the player haters ball, there's some big names out there on Twitter who are the top G's. You know what I mean? Who've been doing this since the start of last season. I'll admit that I got converted. You know what I mean? I was on that.
There's people, that never stopped. I guess, isn't it?
No, and fair play to them. You know, they're like kind of the heroes of the movement. You know what I mean? They're like the original revolutionaries of that. But I got turned around last season. I'm not going to lie. I forgave. Because we almost got in the playoffs. There were moments last season when I hated him, and then I, forgave him. And then obviously the first half of this season, obviously, it was all forgiven. I mean, even
how could you? Yeah,
but there were, like I said, there were some true legends out there who were staying true. Who from the start, they had the crystal ball. You know what I mean? They've been hating forever. But then I'm not. I didn't exactly jump on what it was fashionable. I was jumping on pretty early on, like after Lowe had gone. By early February, for sure, I was jumping on. I was sort of rallying the call. Like I said, in as late as April, I'm getting like pelters from people in the stands that like it's still fine and Sadler's great, and I'm like,
that's true, to be fair.
And it was only really after Accrington that basically the whole fan base join us, and started getting on the hate train. So Sadler. I mean, it is him. Like a lot of the players are exhausted because again he plays them too much. He doesn't use the squad to its ability. This squad, without Lowe, it might not be the best squad in the league, but it is definitely, say, one of the top 7. And that would have been good enough since January to get in the top 3, given the points we'd already amassed. We needed to be a mid-table side, really. We almost got promoted.
We were a
point away from promotion, being one of the worst teams in the league for half the season. If we'd been Newport for this half of the season, we'd be up by now. We'd probably be second, maybe even top
second,
of the league.
Yeah, we might still be top. So
we're not asking the world. We're just saying don't be horrific. And I think you can say that Sadler has been horrific. I mean,
the stubbornness is the main thing.
With the rotation of the players, with the style.
If he can go forward like with this Crewe, with the way that he played Crewe, and if he can be less stubborn and more flexible
and less negative and less scared.
Yeah, the scared thing.
The Crewe thing was good. We were on the front foot. We played.
We played on the floor against Crewe.
Now is that going to happen against Chesterfield, or is he going to revert to type, sit back, pray?
That brings us on.
We've shown that we can't keep clean sheets anyway when we do that. I mean, look at these goals conceded: 2, 3, 2. We're conceding goals all over the place, even when we try and do that.
But then it has slowed down, though. You can say in the last 3 games,
1 goal conceded in 3.
1 in 3, as opposed
you could
to
say
like
Simkin
a mountain
did his work there, but the defending has improved a bit. So, but at the same time, has it improved a bit because he's
playing Williams,
and because he's made them few changes. Like after the Newport game, I remember saying to Daz Hale that I know it's a bad result, but. Like, that was the first game when he started Chang. and played him deep. And when we started playing the ball on the ground, and again, Accrington Stanley, terrible result, but at least we were trying to play football. We just had nothing going up top.
That's it.
And against Crewe, you could say the difference is we showed a bit more up top. We got our goal. We came close a couple of the times.
Yeah.
So we just got to keep that balance. Like you said, if we carried into the Chesterfield games the way we did against Crewe, we have a chance. But yeah,
that's it, man.
Sadler does have to answer for getting us here. All won't be forgiven if we do go up. I still think, honestly, I know it sounds mad and people are going to hate it, but I would be ruthless if I was Trevello. I think he's gone either way, personally, for me. I wouldn't tell him that now, because obviously he ain't going to try.
Don't tell him now. Yeah.
I'd tell him now, I'd be saying, lad, that extension you're going to get is going to be unreal, mate, if we go up. You're basically getting all the money we're getting from the EFL. And then as soon as we go up, think about that is...
think about getting fired is...
Goodbye.
That is you. Nah. Nah.
But obviously I don't see it.
I'm kind of split, but at the same time...
Because that is ruthless. That's like Real Madrid level of... no one's actually that ruthless to get promoted and then sack him. So fine, he'll still be there to some extent.
But if we go on relegation form in League One, then
gone by October,
months,
I think.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
And that's how I predicted. I think if we do manage to get through the playoffs, which is a huge if, I think we would have a really
struggle.
poor start to the season and he'd be gone by like October.
Yeah.
And then I think we would be able to stay up once we bring in someone new.
Yeah.
That's my take on it.
Stay up season.
If they do that. If they hang on
building.
and try and, until like January or February, then, I mean, we don't want to...
could get
I don't know why we're even talking about this, because I think the playoffs... let's talk about the playoffs. So,
right, playoffs quickly.
I mean, can we even go up? I mean, I've said all along, been saying it for months, if you drop out of the race like this, the chances of you going up with this level of momentum are dire. I'd say of the 4 teams, if I'm a neutral, it's far and away the least possibility of going up.
Yeah, definitely, sadly.
Even though we're 4th in the league and the others are underneath, it looks like we're a good team, but nah.
Yeah.
But I will say... the Crewe win, at least we ended on a win.
Thank God.
Because
we could have lost and we'd still be in the playoffs, obviously.
Yeah.
And we might have still been 4th. I don't know how that would have
winless
worked.
in like 100 years or whatever. That would have been terrible.
Whatever. Yeah, whatever. That would have been awful for morale. But I feel like it's really down to the players, and I feel like obviously he does what he does, and he can tell them bad or he can tell them something good. But at the end of the day, if they can pull together like they did for that game, fucking hell, I think we can get through this. But I don't know.
Well, I'm trying not to be too
hopeful.
If he tries to, keep them, if he tries to sort of get in their way, which is what he has done for most of us since Lowe went, they need leaders on the pitch who are going to ignore him and just go over him. If he says sit back all the time, ignore that. Just don't do what he says. If he tells them to play properly, to play how we did with Chang dropping deep, and to have sort of 3 ball-playing midfielders and no donkeys in there. Then and play Williams. Then there's a chance. And DJ coming on late. All these things need to happen. You need to not do one. Normally he's so stubborn he'll do one decent thing instead of like the 5 that are available.
It's like, oh yes, he's finally done that. But then why has he done that?
It never all happens at once, does it? If he does all the obvious normal shit at once that any normal person watching would do, like start Hall, start Chang, Williams. McKenty for me, nowhere near the game.
Yeah,
not even on the bench. Just I don't know why we keep playing this guy. And Akagbury should not be. We need to be finding a solution at the back that enables neither Akagbury or McKenty to play on the right. Whether that's playing Weir, Allen, and moving Williams over, whatever it is, so that you've got 3 players who can pass the ball into midfield. Because Akagbury and McKenty are just hoof machines. We've seen it doesn't work.
But I feel like they might get told to do that.
Oh yeah, they do. Yes, Sadler tells them definitely.
And it's just daft, man.
But I think that's
everyone
the
hates that kind of football.
I think if he doesn't play them, then it shows he's intending to pass the ball.
Yeah, true.
I mean, but as long as Chang's coming short, or if you even have 2 maybe in there to come short, we need to be coming to collect the ball.
Yeah.
And then we'll be all right.
With some energetic players like Chang, obviously.
But it's still going to be a lot to ask, even if we do that, because Chesterfield are one of the best teams in the league. That's why they're in the playoffs.
Exactly. That's what I was about to say.
But on a positive note, you got some positivity for me that you told me earlier about Chesterfield.
Oh, yeah. The last team, probably everyone knows this, but the last team we won against before Crewe was Chesterfield. So
way back in 1972. No, when
check
was
when
that?
It was. Yeah, I don't think it was that long
February
ago.
15th.
Okay, it was. Okay, it was months ago. But
we beat. That was the last home win.
Yeah, the last home win. Yeah.
Okay,
Oh,
so that's
shit.
good.
Okay, but anyway, so, you know,
Come on, the boys.
I'm thinking, you know, it was after January.
So even with this Crew game, that is the last home win.
Yeah.
But then we beat Morecambe away after that.
Even with the Crew
So
one,
since February, it's been draw, loss, draw, loss, draw, 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 loss, loss, draw, draw, loss. And then
one win on the last day of the season.
We hadn't won a game at all since the Morecambe one on the 22nd of February. That's so good.
We hadn't won in like 14
Literally
or 13
2
games.
full clear months without a win.
Yeah.
And the end of February as well. Oh my God. So Chesterfield, we beat them a while ago, so that's good.
So, but my thinking is obviously that was one of our last wins, but also our teams were basically exactly the same as they are now for both sides. So, you know, it's not like it was before January and everyone's changed and the dynamics have changed. No, we're both exactly the same. Obviously, they've got more momentum and we've probably got way less. But
at least on the pitch, on
tactically,
paper,
and the players can face each other in the same way, then, you know, I'm going into it with confidence.
Like you said, the only difference is the momentum. They've been in and around the playoffs also. They've had the season that, like we said, if we'd had that season, I'd fancy us if we finished 7th.
Oh, yeah, definitely. If we were upward trajectory.
But the difference is they've hovered around that area the whole season. They've finished there. We've fallen off a cliff, so the momentum's going to be tough. But yeah, to be positive, anything can happen over a 2-leg playoff. It isn't always the better team that wins, and I think we should be hoping for that right now, because
anything can happen.
In terms of our form,
it happened to remember Doncaster. Doncaster last year, weren't they? They finished in 7th. They climbed into the playoffs.
Yeah,
with a mad momentum,
after unbelievable momentum,
like the best in a long time and the best that season of any team. And they lost. I don't know if they lost in the semis or they lost at Wembley, but they didn't go through. You know what I mean? So that could be the same for Chesterfield.
They ended up losing to Crawley, I think.
Yeah, in the first,
which was a huge shock.
Yeah,
but then look at them.
Crawley
they took that momentum that they went to go and win the league this year in dominant fashion.
Yeah.
So Chesterfield hopefully could be the ones to do that. You know what I mean? They just fall short.
They'll go up next season,
and then next season they go up. But they leave us alone and let us have this one.
Yeah, please leave us alone. Oh man, so we got them on Sunday the 11th at 3:30. We play Chesterfield in the first leg of the semi-final at their place. So I don't know what the allocation was, but it was pretty awful because it sold out in 3 hours. Yeah, and we didn't even get a chance
even our
to line up.
Tickets with away
sadly,
tokens or whatever, we still don't have a prayer. We weren't even. We tried.
So hopefully,
but at least we'll be on the home leg,
one.
and at least they had the thing where they made sure you can have your season ticket and you can sit where you normally sit and all that. Yeah, so that's good. So that we don't have to stress about the home leg, but the away leg, as we said, it's caused a storm online because the controversy it's not going down well. Some people are getting tickets with ease and pushing in the queue, basically. Based on their sort of. Their online reputations, but others less so.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the fixtures then before we do a really quick sort of just playoff sort of heat-ometer. We've got as we said, Chesterfield away on Sunday coming. You'll probably be hearing when you hear this, it'll be in a couple of days' time.
Yeah,
we're recording this on Friday the 9th. Hopefully it'll be going out on Friday the 9th. And then on Friday the 16th of May, we're back at our place against them. And a lovely under the lights 8 o'clock. I think we've got the better of it in Sunset. That way. Well, I think that's when you get the better of it because you got the higher league position, don't you? So I do appreciate that because not only is the home leg second, which I think is really big, but the playing it at night is going to have so much more atmosphere than this the Sunday afternoon one.
Way better atmosphere.
I think. I mean, both obviously atmosphere is going to be mental, but I think for our leg, that second leg, if we can go into it a goal behind or level, it shows how negative I am.
Yeah, look at it. Why are we saying this? But
the fact that
we've got to say that though.
If we go into it with a lead,
if we go into it a lead, then
I'll be on cloud 9.
Oh yeah.
If we've got a lead,
if we win Sunday, bro, we're.
But I mean,
we're surely
the realist in me don't see that. The realist in me saying just keep it within touching distance, and then we can try and do something at our place.
Yeah. That was my thinking as well. Like, if we can just if we can hold it, or at least just not be too far adrift in the scoreline, then take it to our place on next Friday, and hope for the best, man. Should be good.
Yep.
Should be good.
Well, fingers crossed.
They're going to be fighting for it, and it's going to be some good football, I reckon.
If he keeps doing what he's doing, I'd love to see him start a Simway on the left. Gordon's exhausted.
Gordon's dead, man.
He's been dead for ages.
And I feel terrible because he gets loads of flack, and
he gives it.
Found
he
myself,
too long.
but I was just like, nah, he's literally just knackered, like.
But he'll probably will play because whatever. So hopefully they're just juicing him up with some. Performance enhancers or something. Just get him steroided
or just uses the subs.
Or at the very least, just if he is knackered,
because we've got no Barrett though, have we?
Just stretch 55 minutes out of him.
Yeah.
Oh God, yeah, is Barrett's gone?
Still
I forgot that's his second red, so that's gonna be a bunch of games. The only time he ain't in the team for ages is when he keeps getting sent off. It's brilliant. So all right then. So a Simway obviously will have to play both. It'll be a 3-gamer, won't it? So we all play both legs.
God, yeah.
Or was Newport? When did Barrett get sent off?
Barrett got sent off. Nah, Accrington.
He got sent off.
So
Newport had the sending off.
Yeah, so he's gonna.
So he missed crew. If it's a 3-gamer, which I suppose it is, then he'll be out for both the semis. Yeah. So then you'd think he ain't going to bring him back for the final. His season's over, basically.
Yeah.
The good side of that means obviously a Simway will have to start, because even though the fans are divided on him, I think he is great and should be playing.
Yeah, he's class.
And that means Gordon, he'll have to play exhausted. I don't think he has to. I think if he thought outside the box, he could play Weir there. He could play Allen there.
God, yeah.
There's
a lot of people
you could try
calling for Weir there instead of Gordon.
But he won't try
just to give him a break, innit?
So whatever, Gordon will play, but just get it over the line and just do the other tactical things that you can do. Play Chang from the start. Play Hall from the start. Have the shape like you did with Chang really deep. And then Hall kind of like as a shadow striker.
Oh, yeah.
All this stuff worked against Crewe. And it started to work against Newport and Accrington, even though in the end the results were bad. The signs were there.
Yeah.
If he'd done what he did against Newport and Accrington months ago,
we started off really well
we'd
in
be good by now.
Accrington game, but it just went to shit, to be honest. After
it was
they
2-0
scored.
too late.
Yeah, 2-0.
But we've got a lifeline now. We've got 2, potentially
100%.
3 games for him to make it work. So
yeah. Let's hope for the best people.
Come on, Sadler. Just please. You could at least be forgiven. Not for the overall season. Whatever happens if we don't go up, you are, one of the biggest demons ever. But for these individual games, at least we won't be able to say you didn't try. If you do try and play the ball on the ground, try and not be stubborn and try and just, if you just your sitting back in your same old formation, you got your 2 massive strikers up front who can't move, then you're going to have to get the hate that's coming to you for these games as well.
Because it don't work. It just doesn't work.
Stop it.
Please.
You know it doesn't work, so stop it.
It don't work. We haven't won those games. And when you change something, it seemed to work, mate, in the last one.
Mate, so it ain't broke. Don't fix it. 10 points in 39.
10 points in 39, bro.
Why would you change when you got that going on? Trust the process, lads. And the season's 400 years long, so eventually it'll come good. You've run out of time, mate. There's no time left to trust the process now. The process in the bin, and let's just play normal football and play well like you did the last couple of games, all right?
Let's go. All right,
then. That's everything for us. Thanks so much. And we'll see you all at the final game of the season on the 16th of May.
That's it.
Peace.